All right, morning everyone. My name is Abigail, and I was Thomas Masters' granddaughter. So, Thomas Eugene Masters, the man, the myth, and the legend. I say legend because to all of us he was legendary, and not in the traditional sense. However, he did achieve some extraordinary things in his life. If you were to look into his or grandma's life, on any given day, it would seem quite ordinary. They had a long-standing marriage, a boatload of kids and grandchildren, and he was in the military. He bowled on Wednesday nights, and he was a sports enthusiast. However, most people fail at an ordinary life. They, don't realize what they have. They take for granted. They want more, and in wanting more, they feel that they don't have enough and ruin relationships that they do have. And Tom didn't do that. Instead, they chose to water their own grass and nurture where they planted. So, we'll come back to that. Tom was extraordinarily patient. Not just like the regular kind of patient where he'll patch you up after you fall and skin your knee. He was the kind of patient that moved 19 times in the last 22 years, Grandma? But also the kind of patient that taught me, and I'm sure most of you here too, how to drive. And I'm an awful driver, so it probably took a lot of patience. And I most certainly backed into one of their cars while they were teaching me how to parallel park. So, what I can say that I did get from him, though, when it comes to driving, is that I was, any road rage that I did have would be due directly to him. Now, he had an extraordinary ability to have an individualized relationship with every single one of us here. He did. And, you don't realize it. You don't realize it at first until you look back and you really think on it. So, this thought was prompted based on, I was reading online about what everyone had to say about him and how much they'd miss him and their stories. One in particular, Joel, talked about how he never missed a basketball game. We all have a lot of stories similar because, Papa loves sports. But that's not why we have similar stories. He was exceptionally and extraordinarily dedicated to every single one of us. And he loved us all so much. He never missed a game if he couldn't help it. And not only did he never miss a game, he did love sports, but he wasn't there for the sports. He went to so many dance recitals and plays and pageants and award ceremonies and band recitals and I showed pigs in the fair. He went to all of those things. They never forgot to support us all equally. Somehow nurture and love us all equally while giving us the individualized relationships that we all needed. He never forgot our birthdays, though I strongly suspect that's directly related back to Grandma. That is an extraordinary thing to constantly keep up with 20 plus people. At the minimum. That's the minimum amount of us that he had to keep up with at any given time. Now, I've lived away from home for the past 5 years, and we would talk on the phone at least once a month. And during our, monthly talk, I would update him about my life. He would tell me about what's up with him and Grandma. And then we would move on to the rest of the family. So I was constantly updated about all of you. He would say, Stacey has 80-degree weather right now in North Carolina. And Josh has been working overtime. Elizabeth got really tall. Alex joined the band. Annabelle's killing her volleyball game. And Allison's killing it in cheerleading. He just was so proud of all of us. And he couldn't wait to share. He didn't just know, though, about what was up. He knew about how he felt about things. And he spent real time with all of us. Now, he wasn't just, extraordinarily patient, kind, or an extraordinary father or grandfather. He was an extraordinary man, and everyone that I've ever met that knows him feels this way. He had an extraordinary love of sports, which we all know. It was so insistent that Grandma had to basically buy another TV if she ever wanted to watch anything. One of my favorite memories is that my sophomore year of college, I purchased us tickets to a Cubs game because he turned 70 that year as well. And I will remember two things about the game for the rest of my life. One, that it went so smoothly. We had no traffic. We got seats that weren't in the rain. We ate gross food from the stadium. He drank a beer. And I don't remember a single thing about the Cubs playing that day. Not one. Because we were just having so much fun together. Don't get me wrong, we were watching the game, but we were also laughing and joking around and eating. The second thing is that every single person around us, by the end of the game, adored him. Because he was extraordinary. He had a gift with people to make them laugh and enjoy things and enjoy life the way he was. And before the game was over, they knew that his granddaughter bought him tickets to his game, and he hasn't been in this amount of time, and they all loved him. And so when we got up to leave, they were like, "Oh, Tom, so good to meet you," and that's pretty much how everyone always feels about him. He was an extraordinary man who was able to connect with people. Now, he and Grandma were extraordinarily kind and generous, and almost to a fault. Grandma has always had a revolving door in the house, and it takes an extraordinary husband to be okay with that. To allow you to give the love that you have to give in your life, and be fine with it, and allow the revolving door. And as someone who has been walking in and out of that revolving door my entire life, I know that it has made a difference for many people. So, he loved life, and he loved his people, which were us. So much. Now, the final thing that he extraordinarily loved was like sweets and salt. Salt was so bad that most of you know that Grandma had to tape the inside of the salt shaker, and somehow he was still putting too much on his food. Sweets were, he had a sweet tooth, and that is the nicest way of putting it ever. I've never seen the man move faster than when you come in the house with danishes or donuts or a shake from McDonald's. Which prompted a memory. He drove 3 hours one time to watch one of my softball games, and I got kicked out of it. And he stayed for the entire thing. And afterwards, he goes, "Can I drive you home?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I got kicked out of the game. I'm not in trouble." On the way home, he goes, "You hungry? 'Cause I saw a commercial that Burger King is doing veggie burgers now." And this was like 9 years ago. And again, it's one of my favorite memories because it's just me and him in the car for like 3 hours with our Burger King and our onion rings and fries and shakes. He ordered a strawberry shake and onion rings and a burger. And for whatever reason, that memory has always stuck with me because that's a lot of effort for a softball game I got kicked out of. And that's how he was for all of us. Now, going back to the ordinary life thing, he took an ordinary life where most people fail, as I said. Instead, he nurtured it. And all of us, in really small and subtle ways, and until you're older, you don't realize he is part of the fabric that makes up your life. Because he planted and watered and fed, and you grew in relation and response to his care. And because he cared for and loved his life and all of us so much, his life was full. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. Because of that, he will be missed dearly and deeply by so many, including me. As I have said, we will all be now living in the time known as after Papa Tom. Uncle Tom, husband, friend, father, sports enthusiast, bowling partner. Because he was that extraordinary that the world will be lacking. So, that was Thomas Eugene Masters, the man, the myth, and the legend. Originally, writing about him was hard, and then reading it out loud was harder. This is probably like the 9th time I've recorded this. So I want to thank you all for listening. And being here today to support my grandmother and my family. So, thank you very, very much.